Offices across Kansas preparing for a busy few weeks ahead as polling places will soon be opening for November's general election. Today, during a hearing on Kansas security, officials talking election security.
And it's a topic of concern as false claims, misinformation, and even threats to workers persist. Sean logging on what state and local election administrators shared with lawmakers. Sean?
Like Rachel, there's a lot of scrutiny on elections from their running to results, including this cycle where misinformation is already being spread about election security. The Kansas Secretary of State has been among those pushing back on these claims, pointing to efforts here in Kansas to safeguard the state's elections. Soon, people will be lining up and filling in little circles to mark their choice in November's general election. For election administrators, there's a lot that has and is happening behind the scenes to protect people's votes. In most Kansas counties, elections are just one of the responsibilities of the county clerk's office.
A lot of the smaller counties only have 2 people, so it's a personnel resource. And if you start adding a lot more paperwork, then it takes more time.
Earlier this year, the Kansas Secretary of State's office issued updated security regulations. That includes the need for controlled access to the rooms where voting equipment is stored, and the access must be logged.
And at no time should only one person be inside the facility.
In addition, video monitoring is required. Also, up-to-date inventories of the equipment, including recording uses and repairs. The regulations reiterate that computers used to tabulate results must be unable to access the internet, and it's only for that purpose. As it's state law, voting equipment is prohibited from being connected to the internet.
That has to be all by itself in a room that's secured, locked, and monitored. Like, you can't get to that computer unless you are given explicit access.
The Secretary of State's office says it's working closely with state and federal partners, being updated regularly on threats nationally and locally. For administrators, security also means their staff.
Now be concerned also of personal security. I have to be worried about my safety and the safety of my staff and poll workers.
Since last fall, the Secretary of State's office has provided more than $1 million in grants to counties for controlled access equipment, cameras, and enhanced security measures for election offices.